Ace Podcast.
Hey, this is Aaron.
And this is Craig.
And you're listening to my favorite podcast, Don't Wake the Kids.
On the Ace Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Don't Wake the Kids. This is Randall, and I have a special guest. John's not here. The old man is out for the evening. Today,
different old man.
Tonight, we have podcaster, musician, kind of the coolest person that's been on the podcast. Sorry, John.
Come on. No.
Jacob Cotner.
Hey, guys.
From Refund Theater. I know
Yeah.
I've mentioned the podcast many times.
Refund Theater in the house. Represent.
Before we start, what is Refund Theater in your words?
Refund Theater is a copycat podcast. I listen to We Hate Movies a lot, and there's another one now playing. They're not really funny, but like it's kind of a mix between We Hate Movies and Now Playing. I'd say I like those podcasts a lot, and I listen to them a lot. And my co-host Ben and I worked together at a job, and we would sit and talk about movies, and I'd be like, dude, we need to just record this. So we did, and we're about to hit our 100th episode.
You're not really a half of Refund Theater anymore. You're kind of a third. Dustin's pretty much been there the last, half the episodes, really.
It's so cool because I've known both of these guys since before any of us like grew hair on our dicks. Not on our dicks, but grew hair in places. I knew them before that, and I've known Dusty since like we were 5 at
nice.
least, and it's just so cool to be able to. This is what we've done all our lives. Anytime we got together, I remember sitting with Ben when we were 14, talking about The Crow and stuff like that, and we talk for hours about movies. So it's just natural what we do with the podcast. So
right,
yeah, it's a good time. I like it a lot. I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of work though.
Yeah, see, I guess I'll explain for the listeners. I know you only because of the podcast. I knew Ben since I was 17, so...
Where'd you meet Ben?
13 years. Yeah, 13 years.
How'd you guys meet?
I worked with him at Hastings.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, so you just kind of... Because I feel like me meeting you... Did we just meet on the day that we recorded the House of the Dead episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember Ben talking about you a lot, and then just one day, I don't know, man. It's all a blur. The thing is, for a while there, we started doing it once a week, and then we were like, man, I heard some podcaster on some podcast say that if you're not consistent, the way you get followers is for people to depend on you, and
right.
If you're there week to week, and people are.
That's something that I've failed at until recently.
Well, and that's something I excelled at until recently, and because like it was a blur. Like there were like 40 or 50 episodes, 40 or 50 weeks in a row that we were just pumping them out, whether we had time to or not, and many times like staying up just late at night trying to hit that mark, and
yeah.
Then we had like we just hit a wall real hard, and we were just all like, why are we killing ourselves? We're not making any money at this. We do it because we love it, but if we do it because we love it until we don't love it, what's the point in that?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've missed a couple weeks here and there because I was just burnout, and frustrations with equipment or whatever caused me to just not record or not want to edit. There's been a couple times where I recorded, and then I'd have just stupid fucking issues while I'm editing, and I would get pissed off, and I just wouldn't touch it for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah,
but since we got the studio together,
it's nice.
I've been I haven't missed a week yet. Last week we almost missed. Amy was dealing with some stuff, so I basically took the week off, and then John came over on Monday. We recorded a quick 30-minute episode, and I put it out yesterday.
Yeah, man, I feel like if you just put something up, even if we don't have time to put up a huge episode, there have been days where we just put up you talk about equipment failures. There's a couple of lost episodes of Refund Theater. One is the infamous Dr. Giggles episode, which was like the funniest thing. Like Ben and I were so proud of this when we finished it. We were so happy with it. And I went home, and I usually dump the episode onto my computer as soon as I get home. And that week I didn't. I was like, I'll get it later. And then I erased the damn thing. And
that sucks.
Yeah, and so that disappeared. But then there was the House episode. It was House 1986.
Yeah, I remember.
We lost that episode. So, but then we just recorded like an 18-minute thing of us being like, "Hey, sorry."
This is kind of what we remember here.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I do remember that one. I've lost a couple. One of my best episodes was lost.
so frustrating.
It was
it's so frustrating.
kind of a sequel to one of my most popular episodes is the Tour Wives episode with the Wives of Norma Jean and Straight from the Path. I did a kind of part 2 with the Wives of Norma Jean after they went to I guess members of Norma Jean. They went with them to South Africa.
Right.
And so when they got back, we talked for an hour and a half, 2 hours, them talking about the trip and what it was like and everything.
Yeah.
I got home, none of it was the whole file just corrupted.
No way.
So that was a point where I was frustrated and I didn't record for a couple weeks.
I
But
can do that. Looks like you got pretty good setup in here now, though. Look at this.
yeah, if
I'm telling you guys right now, like, if you saw the conditions with which my podcast was recorded compared to this,
I wouldn't say it's bad conditions. I mean,
wouldn't
you're
say
sitting
it's
in a living
bad.
room, three guys sitting in a circle with an iPhone stuck between them.
right.
It sounds great though. You can't
It's weird,
tell.
right?
Like
Yes.
it blew my mind when I got there I've been on a couple episodes.
He has.
I was expecting at least microphones
Nope.
or something, at least a normal microphone going to a computer. Just
Yeah,
because
guys.
that's what I was used to. That's how I jumped into it. But then I get there and we just kind of group together and you're holding an iPhone.
If you guys are out there thinking, man, I want to start a podcast, but I don't have the equipment.
You
If
have
you
the
have an
equipment.
iPhone and a internet connection, you can do what Refund Theater does. Because, like, we don't have... I mean, like, you've obviously put a few bucks into this. And, I mean,
Yeah.
like... Yeah,
I've been lucky to have donations that's paid for most of this studio.
That's awesome. See, I'm wanting to take 2018 and really right now I'm in the process. I'm using my vacation to upload all the episodes to YouTube, which is taking forever. But
I want to tell you not to worry about that.
I'm just doing it.
I just
Because
started.
we're gonna have video content too.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Video content's different. My episodes they've started uploading automatically through Podbean,
Mm-hmm.
and
To YouTube?
yeah,
Really?
I can. When we're done, I'll show you how to set it up.
I have Podbean.
I know.
Damn it!
So I'll show you how to set
You
it up.
telling
It's
me I've
easy.
wasted like days to converting?
Well, no.
Episodes
your
to
old
videos?
episodes. Your old
Yeah,
episodes. You'd have to do that manually. The new ones, though, you can set it to automatically.
Oh yeah, definitely show me that. Cool.
But it just doesn't seem worth it to me. I checked. There's only 2 episodes on my YouTube channel for the podcast right now.
Well,
the one that uploaded yesterday doesn't really count because it just uploaded. But the last one, it's been up for a little over a week. It's only got 9 views.
The great thing about Refund Theater is every episode we put out is branded to a famous movie.
Yeah.
So if we put Justice League, if Justice League
Right,
is the
you're
first
gonna
thing in
get
the
some
title,
hits.
you get some hits.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I get a ton, but I mean, I want to get it to where people know who we are because I think that's the biggest problem. I have trouble self-promoting. I'm that guy that's busking on the street and people are like, dude, you're amazing. What's wrong? And I'm like, I know no one else has done anything for me. That's me. And so I feel like now the guy needs to put on a suit and go door to door and sell his podcast.
Well, shit. So Refund Theater was on the Ace Podcast Network with me. You guys kind of fell off there,
day,
and you just
Mike.
kind of got kicked out because you just weren't doing anything.
I don't do anything.
We can
yeah.
get. I'm sure they get you back in there as long as you make the commitment to be a part of the network.
And
it helps. It really does.
I believe you, but I'm the busker right now. And the busker is like, listen here, you Australians. I can promote myself, but I can't. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens, right? No, really, I had a good dialogue with those guys for a minute, and then I did the thing. And there's a few things you have to do when you're a network. You have to like talk to the other people.
A lot of promotion
You
and
talk to people
and helping out.
communicate and cross cross-pollinate, and I just have... I can barely tie my shoes, guys. I'm getting there, though. I'm getting there. I'm really wanting to... I'm so lazy, dude. So lazy. It's not bragging me saying that either. 2018 is not lazy year. I'm going for it. I want to say it's the same thing with music with me. For example, Reverb Nation. Are you aware of Reverb Nation? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it's a website, right?
Yeah, it's a website
where you can upload music and stuff.
Yeah, you get on there, you upload your music. It's basically you create like a splash page that's like, hey, I'm me and I live in this area and I'm available for gigs, and you can download my music.
I'm pretty sure I have one.
Right. It's
from years ago.
Right. And it's not about who's popular. It's about who kisses the most butt. And while I appreciate the act of people promoting each other that are, artists promoting artists, I'm into that. I was playing in a band with a guy, and he was like, hey man, I'm really busy this week. Could you log into the Reverb Nation and, do a few things? And I'm like, yeah, sure. What do you need me to do? And he's like, well, what I need you to do is the same thing I do every day, which is I get on there and I basically go to other artist pages, I add them, and then I write them a little thing saying, hey man, I dig your sounds. Hope you dig mine, or something like that.
This sounds like so much work.
Right. It is a lot of work, but he was number one on Reverb Nation in the area. And that's why, though, is because, and that's the thing, though. I'm like, do I need to listen to the other artists? He's like, no, you don't have to listen to them. Just tell them you like their music. And I'm like, but that's lying.
Yeah.
And dude, I'm very, I have a very, I don't know, just a very noble ethic when it comes to lying and bullshitting people. I don't want to bullshit anyone. And I had a problem with that. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, I can't do that. And I wouldn't do that to be more popular. And with networks and such, I ain't dissing Ace podcast or nothing like that. I love you guys. You guys were really nice. I suck at that side of it because I feel a falseness to it. So when those guys are like, my favorite podcast, don't wake the kids. I'm like, is that your favorite podcast? Is it? But yeah, I suck at shameless self-promotion. I suck at it. I can't do it. And I'm going to try to do it this next year and see if it actually yields the results. Because if that's what yields results, whatever, I'll do a little. I'll suck a little D to get a little juice. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, to get a little bit of your drummer?
What? What are you talking about?
You're in a band, right?
Yeah.
What's your band called?
Anything or everything.
What's your drummer's name?
Juice? Oh, ha. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, that was a really bad joke.
I've had a little bit of go-go juice myself, so that's why things aren't just like triggering right away. But yes, I can get a little of my drummer by sucking a little D.
Sorry, I couldn't help.
No, take it. You earned it.
So your band, I saw something, or no, I was just screwing around the other day and I was on your YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. I was watching some of your old what is the Scottish dude?
Scotch tape.
Duff
McBride.
So funny. But I was watching some of those and I noticed there's videos of Anything or Everything from like 2003.
Yeah, that's the year the band started.
Did you take a break in there sometime?
Yeah, well, it's just always I've always I've been in bands since 1998. I was about 18 and I got in a band called Deprivation. That was my first band around here. And I was also in a few other bands.
Sounds heavy.
It was a two-piece comedy metal band, basically, that would basically crash any show of bands that take themselves too seriously. We would come and get on there were times where we would run other bands' crowds off, and they knew it. And there was this one night where this band's like, we're not going on after them. We're not going on after them. We know what's going to happen. We know what they're here for. And they set up on the floor in front of the stage and tried to beat us to the setup. Oh. And then they started playing. And it was before their allotted time and everything. They were trying to punk us. So we got on stage and played over them. And it was a clusterfuck of sound. And yeah, we were hated. The funniest thing about it is we were hated when we were in our prime. We did a reunion in 2012 and we came back and everyone loved us. And it was like that kind of heavy music was accepted now.
Yeah.
Also the whole chaotic aspect of it with the the comedy and stuff like that. It's now the kids were like, fuck yeah. But back then, man, it was all Limp Bizkit and shit. And we were the band that would come in and just be screaming and throwing shit and lighting shit on fire. Anyway, enough about deprivation. But I was in a few more metal bands, but I always wrote songs at home that didn't fit any of those metal bands. And I just kind of had like solo music. And then I started Anything or Everything, and that's just basically, it's kind of like Nine Inch Nails or whatever else. It's music that comes from me that I get with other people to help, fill it out. But like, if you listen to the records, most of the time it's just me. And but right now I have a really good band together. Juice Kurtz is on the drums, as you mentioned. He's a really stand-up dude I met through some wacky circumstances, and he's a really solid drummer that I'm having a good time with.
He has my dog.
He has your dog, Petey?
Petey was my dog.
Oh, yeah, Petey. Wow.
No, that's how I know them.
It's a small world.
Just through
I don't even know if I knew that.
Yeah,
Does he know I know that? Does he know? Wait.
He knows that.
Does he know that I know that you know that? Does he know that I know you?
Yes.
Okay.
Only, but I met them completely separately. So we sold the dog to one of my ex-coworkers, and he found out he was allergic to him. So he gave or sold, I'm not sure, Petey to them. And they
cool.
had Petey for months. And then they added me on Facebook. And I was like, who are these people? That looks like Petey.
I'm glad they kept the name.
Yeah. Well, it's the only name for that dog.
Oh, he's great. I like him a lot. I just saw him the other day.
I want to go see him.
We got Jim Dick on bass. He's a guy that's been in the scene for years, and I've known him for years, and I've always known him as a guitar player. And then one day he plays bass in a band called Dirty Blue, and I don't remember why I ended up in a bar they were playing at, and I watched him play the bass, and I was like, holy fuck, he's like Animal plays drums, but he's on the bass. And he's one of those Chihuahua motherfuckers that you're just like, whoa, calm down, bro. But anyway, the band's really good. We are working on, I know you're going to put some music on here, but it's old. And like the music we're working on right now, I'm so happy with it. I can't wait until it comes out so I can be like, this is my music instead of, I'm proud of everything I've done in the past, but like this is the first time I've done anything with a band, full on, and like the shit we're writing is really cool.
Yeah. So at the very end of this episode, you won't hear the normal outro, Norma Jean. It's gonna go right into, what was the song called? Muddle?
I don't know. Muddle. Play Muddle or find Neutrinos. It's on a different album on that page. Both those songs, I'd say. I like Neutrinos a lot. I think it represents the sound of AOE pretty well.
Okay, I'll play Neutrinos.
Hey,
then.
why don't you listen to both songs and pick the one you like better?
Okay, I'll do that.
That's a trick to make him listen to my music.
Every time you post stuff on social media, I watch it, but I haven't looked anything up.
A lot of people don't even know I make music because I'm once again like busker on the street.
That is one thing about Refund Theater is you talk about movies, but you're made up of incredible musicians.
Ben is an incredible musician. Ben
is
blows my fucking mind.
He was the frontman of my all-time favorite
A+
local band. Yeah, A+ setup.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I've actually played their music on some of the early episodes. I used I don't remember which song, but I used one or two of their songs for intros.
I played their music for guys that were on Sony Records and they couldn't believe that they weren't signed. They're like, what label are these guys on? And I'm like, they're not. They're like nothing.
They're playing house shows.
and they're like, are you fucking kidding me? And like, I mean, there's people in LA that listen to A+ Setup now because
it's on iTunes. Everyone listening, get on iTunes and buy Language.
Yeah,
A+
great album.
Setup.
Oh
it
my
is
god,
so,
No City.
It's worth the money.
I know Ben hates this, but No City is like the. You want to hear the power of No City? Honestly, I'll tell this story because Ben won't tell it himself. But
it's one of my favorite songs.
Ben's so fucking humble when it comes to this shit, and we were working, Ben and I told you before, we worked at a job together. We worked for the news. And we were sitting in our office, and our chief photographer was in his office. And our chief photographer is kind of, he's a Trump voter. I'll just say that. And
we bash Trump on this podcast. It's
okay. Well, he's just one of these. He's one of those guys. And he thought, he thinks me and Ben are lame, because we're liberals or whatever.
Neckbeards.
Yeah. And anyway, but one day he was asking about my music, and I showed it to him, and he was like, whatever, which, fine. My music is nowhere near, like, I'll admit it. Like, I hear Ben's music, and I'm like, I make music too, a little, because he fucking, he kills me, and he doesn't. It's like effortless with him. That son of a bitch. Anyway,
he just randomly posts one day. I've been working on this 152 songs that I might release sometime.
Yeah. Oh, here's another album, by the way. It's fucking gold.
Yeah.
I can't even listen to it. I told you before, like, I can't listen to my friend's shit. I know how good Ben's shit is, but I can't listen to it because it's Ben. And
well, I've listened to it, and it is
very good. No, I'll glaze through it, but I'll be like, God damn that son of a bitch. I ain't listening to it to enjoy it. I'm listening to it because I'm like, why am I not in a band with fucking Ben?
Why aren't you?
I don't know. He's so to himself with the music. Anyway, back to Chad, my chief photographer. One day is asking me about my music, and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, do you know Ben makes music too? And he's like, you're fucking kidding me, Ben? He doesn't look like he rocks.
Honestly, that was my reaction when I worked with him at Hastings when I found out he was in a band.
You're like, no way, not that guy.
It wasn't a
Ben,
no
we love
way.
You. We don't mean you look weird or anything.
He was kind of quiet. I mean, he was goofy, but he wasn't real. I didn't know what to think. I wasn't sure what kind of music to expect. And then I went and saw them play, and it was insane. Like, he had so much energy, and it was so much fun. It completely changed the way I looked at Ben.
That band drew crowds too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, my band doesn't draw a crowd. Like, that band drew crowds.
There's really not a local band anymore that draws crowds.
There isn't. Anyway, so I played Chad the No City video. The video
so
in the mirror
fun.
with everything. It's so fucking cool. Guys, look this up. A+ setup, No City. Look it up right now and watch it and then come back. This podcast has a pause button.
It's
unless
on
you're watching
YouTube.
it on Twitch. In that case, just do it later. Anyway,
the video's so funny.
So Chad sees that shit and he's like, what the fuck? After that, Ben was the coolest fucking guy in the world to Chad. And if Chad was in his office and knew Ben was in the next room, we'd hear pop. And Ben would be like, God damn it, is he just fucking with me? And I'm like, no, dude, he really loves your shit because it's that good. And he's like, no. And I'm like, dude, Chad thinks Ben is a fucking, like, and Chad loves old school punk rock. He loves Dead Kennedys. He loves, all that old crazy shit. And he loves No City. Like it's just looped in with all that shit.
That record though, Language does not have a bad song on it.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Check it out.
Seriously.
Ben Evans. Wait, it's under A+ setup. His music now is a Backward Guard. No, it's Major Urges.
Major Urges, yeah.
Major Urges. Check that out. He keeps changing his name. And I tell you what, it's once again, he's just like me. He's got this amazing shit that if he fucking pushed forward and like showed this to people.
Yeah, definitely.
They'd be like, holy, because God, his fucking, just today, I was talking with him about a song he wrote and I just said the title of it and it was in my head for a fucking hour. and like, that doesn't happen with most local artists.
No, and he just gives it all out for free. So
yeah,
it's all on the internet.
Speaking of, mine's for free too. Anything or everything. Look it up. It's on Bandcamp, it's on SoundCloud. It's free.
You'll hear that later.
It's all free.
So
check it out.
Buy the song. Buy each song individually.
Buy each song individually.
$1 a piece
That's
individually.
what you get if you want to buy shit individually. You're gonna pay for it.
That's funny. What I don't know how much we got into this conversation before, but the former drummer of Norma Jean when when he played for
Fear Before the March of Flames.
I every time I try to say the name of that band, I start to say Fear is the Driving Force. So that's Corey's other kind of defunct band side project thing. But what band were you playing with when you toured with them?
I was hanging out with these dudes. There was a band called Hours, Ours. Their lead singer is one of the most amazing singers in the world. I became friends with them through following them on tour, and I had money and time to kill, and I was just following this band I loved, and we became friends with them. Before I knew it, I was jamming with them. Before I knew it, I was on stage with them, and
Nice.
I went on some pretty cool tours with them. And I met Fear Before on a Circus Survive tour for their second album, the one with the kicking the crosses down on it. I like that song.
Did you do Blow with Anthony Green?
I have a funny Anthony Green story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I have a couple, actually. Once, when I met it, well, I wouldn't say I met him this day, but I didn't know who Circus Survive was. I only knew them because I'd seen their album covers at Best Buy because they have really amazing album covers.
Yeah, their art is awesome.
But I never bought the album. I just always see the album and be like, oh, that looks like it could be cool, but I just never go further. And that whole Screamo era of music, kind of at the time, I don't know. I was into a couple bands, but there was a lot of bands that were just like, "We're My Chemical Romance too."
Thing.
Yeah,
same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and
Cookie Cutter.
So I didn't know who they were, but apparently
They're not that.
Well, but I was on tour with fucking Elvis. Little did I know, because every time I saw this dude walk by,
okay, I was like, wait,
people,
you're not that old.
every time I watch this dude Anthony Green walk by people, it'd be like, ah, people fucking like pennies off,
right?
And anyway, the first time I met him, I was at the Granada in Lawrence, Kansas, and which is my favorite venue of all time, and I was going upstairs to grab my bag. Upstairs is in the backstage area, and I was going up these stairs, and in the middle of the stairs was this handsome dude and a girl. And this girl was chatting up this handsome dude. And I needed by, and so I kind of just stood there waiting for him to notice me. I didn't want to be rude.
Yeah.
And then when he noticed me, he was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he thought I was standing there waiting to meet him, because that's what people do with famous people. Right. They fucking stand there and wait their turn.
He just expected it because that's what he's used to.
Exactly. He's like, "Hey man, what can I do? Hey, what's up, man? How are you? La la la." And I was like, "Hey man," and then right when I was like, "Oh hey man, yeah, I'm Jacob. Nice to meet you. I'm just going to get my bag." And then he looked disappointed for a second, and I was just like, "No, it's cool." And I went upstairs and got the bag, and I came back down. And it was like, I guess when you're that famous, and you're at your show, and this is your night, and this venue is being rented out because of you. You don't expect there to be anybody there backstage that doesn't know who the fuck you are. But that was me. And later also, what was the other one? Yeah, we were in Atlanta, and we were backstage in this stairwell. It was this giant stairwell that went up in the venue. I don't know where it went, but anyway, we're just talking, smoking cigarettes, and just fucking around. And all of a sudden, you remember Spider-Man 3 when fucking Venom's screeching at the top of the cathedral?
Yeah.
Anthony Green's doing his vocal warm-ups at the top of this fucking stairwell, and it scared the piss out of all of us, because he sounds like a screaming girl.
Yeah,
his
voice is very high.
Voice. And he was just like, "Ah!" And we were just like, "What the fuck?" And looking around trying to fit, and all the sounds echoing across the stairwell. So at first we had no idea what's happening. We thought somebody's dying. And then I ran up and saw him, and I was like, "Oh, it's that guy." And but he was really nice, and I got to go on stage with them a few times, and I was bald at the time, and I kept getting mistaken for their guitar player because I was playing guitar for ours. And people would be like, "Some guy from Circus Survive keeps getting on stage with ours. It's crazy." But it was me, because we looked a lot alike at the time. That was a good time. But yeah, Goose, one of the most stand-up dudes I've ever met. I really fucking like that guy. Fear Before the March of Flames is the nicest band I've ever met in my life, of the coolest people. And when we were hanging out with them, they were actually going through a lot of turmoil. And it was kind of... we felt like it was our mission at the time to kind of hang out with them and to be a positive force, because they were going through a lot, and we really loved that band. And we were there for a little bit of the making of their next record. They changed their name to Fear Before,
Right.
and made a record. One of my there's a song called Jabberwocky. My acoustic guitar. I was there when Adam was writing that song, and my acoustic guitar ended up on the record and stuff like that. It was a fun time. It was a time that I think I took for granted when it was happening, and you know, I enjoyed the shit out of it, but I also, I look back on it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was some crazy shit, but. Yeah, it's fun. I met a lot of great friends. The weird thing is Goose joined Norma Jean, and he's been in the Fort Smith area so many times, and we just haven't hung out.
Yeah.
And now he's in Every Time I Die or something.
He's not in Norma Jean anymore, so you missed your chance.
No, it's okay. No, we did once, and I think it's just I don't know, things have changed since then so much, and it's when you try to catch up with people, I'm not a big company guy myself anyway. I don't care who it is. I love Goose to death, but when you get together with somebody you haven't seen in a long time, all you do is just sit and chat about shit you've done since you saw each other.
Yeah.
And that's just boring to me.
Yeah.
I hope it's boring to him too. He's a man of few words anyway.
He
So
is.
Maybe he was. I hope he wasn't offended that we didn't hang out much. I'm sure he wasn't.
It was busy. I mean,
Yeah,
he was in town, he was working. So.
Yeah, and I didn't want to interrupt what they were doing too. I respect what Corey's doing and stuff.
Yeah, Norma Jean now they're down to 2 members officially.
Yeah.
So they change a lot, but I mean Norma Jean is.
They'll
Corey.
fill those slots back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. The Norma Jean is Corey, and there's a lot of purists that. Well, some purists that
there are a lot
don't like that.
They annoy the shit out of me.
Why is it okay for some bands and it's not for others though? You know what I'm saying?
It's just people are stupid.
I'll agree with you though that Corey's been in the band longer than any of the older singers were in the band, and more Norma Jean albums exist with Corey on them.
There is only one Norma Jean album without him on it.
Oh well, I mean shit. Those are some hardcore purists then, because I mean look at it this way, fucking. Well, that's the thing though. Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson's not their original singer, but Bruce Dickinson's the guy that you want to hear singing for Iron Maiden. Right. There was a guy for 2 albums before, and they still play that stuff, but you want to hear Bruce Dickinson singing that shit. But there are still people that are like, no, we want to hear Paul. And But original members of Iron Maiden are still in Iron Maiden.
Yeah. No, now it's there.
Norma Jean
There's not any actual original members in Norma Jean.
Which, if the name is making them money and they're able to go tour on that, I say so be it. Because you've talked to me a little bit about the Blink-182 debacle going on right now.
Yeah.
And I will agree that no matter what my opinion of what that is, that's how Mark and Travis are making a living right now. And if people can make a living touring music instead of getting a fucking job, do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's only one member different.
But it's a very important member.
It is, but I mean, when you're just that crazy into aliens, you just got to follow your dreams.
Yeah, and I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at Tom. And I was... You can't be mad at those guys, and you can't be mad at... What's his name that's in the band now?
Matt Skiba.
Matt Skiba.
See, I love Matt Skiba.
Okay.
I love his solo stuff, and I love Alkaline Trio. I am not a fan of him in Blink-182. I'm not a fan of his voice, just his style doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't work.
I agree, because I just saw Sublime with Rome.
Oh God, it's so bad.
I like it.
Really?
I like it.
I hate it.
I fucking like it.
I was never really a Sublime fan though.
I was never an old Sublime fan. I was, it's kind of like Nirvana. After they died, I was like, well, maybe there's something to this,
Shit, I wasn't into Nirvana until 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, so, yeah, you just kind of find stuff. But, I mean, Sublime with Rome is a fucking chill band. They have an album called Yours Truly. It was the first album they made together. And you'd think it was Sublime. You really would. Their new album, I don't know what the fuck they were doing, because... I tried to listen to it, and I was like, whoa, I think a producer got a hold of them that was like, we need to pop you guys up because it's weird. But I just saw them live, and it was really chill. But I will say, the lineup was weird because I saw them with Offspring. And I fucking love Offspring. I just have a soft spot for them from when I was like 14. Smash came out, and that was the biggest shit in the world. And I followed their career for a pretty long time. Their last 3 albums, they lost me. But, you know, the early days, really good shit with Offspring. And putting a band with that much energy before a band with no energy is weird. You know, like if the Sublime would have went first.
But I mean, the Offspring now are so old. The music has energy, but the guys don't move.
Yeah, they did. They had a good time.
Man, when I saw them, they did not move. They
you had a bad Offspring experience.
They weren't even playing their music. It was all lip sync. Like there was a couple times where you could tell it wasn't. But then it was so different from the rest of them. It was super obvious. The rest were. There was
like a backing track.
It was more than that.
Because, I mean, I know that, like, the Keep 'Em Separated, that's played on a backing track and shit like that. But, I mean, like, those are samples
full songs.
Oh, see, I didn't get that. And I was, after your story, I was listening hard for it, too.
Yeah.
But, like, they were full live when I saw them.
Maybe it was the end of their tour or something. And
well, your voice goes out, man. Yeah. And I'm sure they have a backup plan. You can't just cancel every show that, you know, your fucking voice goes
when
out.
you're 70 and playing punk.
But... did you know he has a fucking PhD in brain surgery?
Yeah,
he's like,
is it brain
curing AIDS or something?
I knew he had a PhD in something. Is it neurology?
Yeah, he's like curing like amazing shit, and like he doesn't have to do the Offspring. He just does it for fun, you know. And that's fun because people like me, dude. I yelled my fucking ass off. I sang every word. I loved it. They didn't play anything from any of the albums I don't like. So I was like, okay.
Last time I saw you, I was telling you I was going to see Corey Smith that next weekend. He put on a better show than Matchbox 20, The Offspring, and definitely. Third Eye Blind.
Ah. Boy, those guys, Matchbox 20, Third Eye Blind, like that was also...
There's Counting Crows.
Oh, that's also from the same era. Like these guys are all still on tour. That's so cool. Silver Sun Pickups is all right.
They all put on great shows, but Corey Smith was by far better.
Right on.
Individually better.
Right on. Right on. That's good when somebody can move you. Was it just him, or was it...
He had a band.
He had a band.
Yeah.
Right on.
His bass player was really good.
Oh, man.
And I've said all of this already because I told John and I talked about it a couple episodes back, but he literally just looked like he had his metal face on while he was playing, which is kind of funny because it's kind of country music. But he had his metal face on that really just made it look like he was trying to squeeze out a fart. It was fun.
I had an opportunity a couple years ago to see Leanne Rimes for free, and she's like one of the only country artists I can really stand.
She used to be my cousin.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I've never met her.
That's cool. Sad that ended in
it was a by marriage type thing.
But her guitar player and her bass player, like those country bands are tight, dude. They're tight.
Oh, dude, I saw Craig Morgan. He had a bass player that looked exactly like Slash. But yeah, the country bands
such discipline with country bands. Well, I mean, those guys. I spent some time in Nashville, and there are guys out there that just hone their chops. They can play anything, and they can learn your fucking set in a day. Yeah, you know, and that's their job. That's how they make money. Somebody's like, I need a band. I'm playing a gig tonight. Merle Haggard needs a band. You know, and they fucking zip it up, and they get paid good bucks for it. And I always kind of wanted to do that, but I'm lazy.
Yeah,
I can play. I mean, if you give me a song, you're like, hey man, we're going to play this song in 30 minutes. I need you to learn it. I can usually learn it. Like, even more complicated songs, like by ear, has always been a thing. And the other day, somebody told me I could make money doing that. And my mind was blown. I was like, what? Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's called an accompanist. And I'm like, what? What's that? Yeah. I could just learn a song and play it with somebody and they'd pay me for it? Yes. What?
People use YouTube like that now.
Yeah.
Just to like learn guitar, you'll find it, and there's a piano track that you play along with, or drums that you play along with. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I did a tutorial on how to play Step by Step by New Kids on the Block on YouTube. You can check that out. Jacob Cotner YouTube. Check it out.
So you're gonna make a Don't Wake the Kids intro music?
I might. Yeah, you tell me what you want, and I mean,
I really like the style of the Refund Theater. I want.
My wife made that by herself.
You know what I want, and this is all Ashley, Maybe you don't even have to touch it.
I think it is.
Since you're lazy.
She's so talented. She has such
I
gusto.
want some like 80s Moog, like good synthesizer stuff.
Yeah, she could do that. She's a pro, man. My wife is...
I want her to come over here and figure out how to use my shit and teach me how to use it.
My wife is one of the most frustrating artist type people I've ever met because she doesn't care that she's good at shit.
Yeah.
Like, she can, like... My daughter's the same way. My daughter's like, hey, that Warning bass line by Green Day sounds pretty hard. Da 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 da. You know that?
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like, there's a lot of notes in that, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, well, let me show you how to play it. And I sat her down and I showed her where the notes were. I walked into her room 5 minutes later and she's playing it like Mike Dern. I mean, perfectly. But she doesn't give a shit that she can do that. And she doesn't want to be in a band and whatever. Ashley's the same way. Ashley, she created that Refund Theater music, just making music for herself. And then I was like, nice. I need podcast music. And that little thing that you made has been in my head for like a month. Can I use it? And
I love it. It's one of my favorite podcast intro musics.
Me too. And it's crazy that my wife made something so catchy. She's just like, she's silly. She's silly. I don't even understand her. She's an alien. She's my muse. And I say that not because she inspires me, but she forces me to get off my ass and do stuff. It's less divine inspiration and more, God, you're lazy. Why don't you fucking write a song? Or, oh, you say you're a musician? I haven't seen you with your guitar in a few days.
God, I haven't touched mine in so long. It's sitting right outside this door.
We should. It's kind of tight, but we should play a concert.
Hey, when we're done recording the podcast, we'll bust folks out I've got a bass and a guitar sitting right outside the door. Sweet. All acoustic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're about to hit our 100th episode, and we're thinking about doing some kind of like retrospective on our favorite episodes. Do you have like a favorite episode we mention on there?
You know, I'm kind of partial to the Yoga Hosers.
Really? Yeah, you're on that. You brought us a Russian bootleg of Yoga Hosers before it was available.
Yeah, we both own it now.
To the people. Yes, we do. And it's
see, that's the thing.
A grower.
If you're gonna pirate something, you gotta buy it.
Yeah. Everything I've pirated, except for Prince's music catalog, I bought later, but you can't buy his catalog. So
he'll
do all right. That golden casket's paid for.
There's been lately, the last couple, I've skipped some, like Justice League. I skipped that one because I haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Like Refund Theater is really not a podcast for someone that isn't watching the movies. Right. If you plan on watching it. Because it's very spoiler heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we go full on.
There are episodes that I've just I didn't think I would want to watch them, like Fateful Findings. Oh. I never had any kind of urge to watch that. I listened to that episode, immediately went and watched all of Neil Breen's movies.
I think it's brave that you did that. Fateful Findings is one of those movies that literally shifts you into a different dimension in your mind. You are not the same after watching it, especially if you really allow yourself to get invested in it, because you're cool. I can dive my brain. The reason I like, say the guys make fun of me because I like Batman v Superman. I've always, ever since I was a kid, I can just really just throw myself into a movie. Yeah. The world disappears and I'm in there. I'm in the room with them. And when I do that with Fateful Findings, it's like taking mushrooms.
It is.
You leave.
You don't even have to really immerse yourself into it that much, but it's
rough.
And we talk about Neil Breen often on this podcast because he is one of my favorite filmmakers now. I'm considering buying
Pass Through
all of them.
Dude,
but they're so expensive.
Just know that if you do buy them, we will do them all on Refund Theater.
You need to.
Because we want to do them, but we can't find ways to watch them.
All of them except for Pass Through are on YouTube.
Really?
In full. That's how I watched them.
That always shocks me when I'm like, I love this movie and I can't find it anywhere, and it's on fucking YouTube and I didn't look there.
Yeah. No, they're there. And if you want to do,
we'll do that.
I will totally be on for one of those.
I'd love to see Pass Through.
I want. Have you heard about his new one that he's
already working on another one? Oh my god!
It's shooting all at night between Vegas and he's splitting it between Vegas and LA,
Okay.
like in studios. He said he's in talks with major film actors. I think that's his exact wording there.
Film actors.
He's saying that it's going to be completely different. No government hacking. No
What?
No.
That's his
Computers.
That's his
stuff.
oeuvre.
Yeah, no, he's saying it's going to be completely different than his other movies.
I wonder if James Franco's sequel to The Disaster Artist will be a Neil Breen movie, a biopic. Because, I mean, like, Breen and Wizzo came into my life at around the same time. When you hear those episodes, those are the first time I saw those movies or heard of them, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd heard of The Room a little bit.
Yeah, see, I'd never even heard of any of them until listening to Refund Theater.
Man, it's kind of like, those are what, Refund Theater was created, and if you look at the early episodes, it's all like 80s movies and shit.
Yeah, like another one,
And,
I think the question was, what's my favorite episode?
yeah.
I want to say it's probably the Bad Boy Bubby episode. That's another one that I had never heard of it.
Once again, yeah. So you like that independent block right there.
Yeah. I like listening to you guys talk about shit that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then listening to you talk about how much you like it or how goofy or weird or whatever it is, and then I'll go watch it, and I've loved a lot of the movies that I've found that way.
The Bad Boy Bubby episode was there was a donor. That was our first donation.
Yeah.
And that guy doned us. That guy donated us the DVD of Bad Boy Bubby, and he was like, "If I send you the DVD, will you do this movie?" And we had never heard of it. And we thought it was going to be shit. And
it looks like, if you Google it and just look at the cover of the DVD, it looks like garbage.
And then we loved it.
It was such a good movie.
It's so good. It's
so weird.
When I see this snake skin on the wall, that is Bad Boy Bubby. Bad Boy Bubby is a snake shedding his skin and seeing the world for the first time. And it's really a transition.
It is.
It, like Faithful Findings, will send you into a different dimension in your mind. But Faithful Findings sends you into a dimension where humans aren't real.
I also really like the Resident Evil.
I'm glad you like that.
I did, because I put myself through all of those movies as a sidebar with you guys, just so that I would be fresh on it when I listened to them. I enjoyed it.
I think that was a good series, and I think hearing their weariness by the end of it was worth it.
It totally was.
Like, I decided we were going to do that. I think it was like the day I saw Resident Evil, the final chapter, in the theater. And I was like, so this is the final chapter. Wow. And so
by the end of you guys recording those, like, it sounded like they were starting to question life.
They were. And I'm trying to get this going with the guys right now. Because there's another series that I really want to put them through.
I saw you post something about it. It's not one that I've ever heard
Never
of.
heard of Phantasm?
No.
Oh, dude. I should have brought it over. I have the 5-disc collection, and this is 5 movies. They are, the first one's a classic. It was kind of made in around 78. It was made around the same time as Halloween. It was made for around the same amount of money.
Okay.
It was very much like Halloween, where it was like very piecemeal, and these people, they were making a movie and they just didn't know if it was going to hit. And then for some reason, the movie hit. Horror was huge at the time, and just anything would hit. And this guy, these people that made it, they were all just friends. It was like a Kevin Smith type thing. But then when it hit, they're, like years later, Universal asked them to make a sequel, and they're like, well, we don't know how to make a sequel. And they were like, and it was actually a lot like Kevin Smith, because Universal was like, hey, we'll give you that Mallrats money, make Clerks again, but in a mall. Remember, this is what happened with Kevin. And it
bombed.
Well, yeah, but it was terrible. It's terrible. They recast like the main character, and it was awful. Wow. And it's just a terrible movie. But that's the thing. They kept making them because they kept making money. They weren't bombs, but like they had life on home video. And every time they're like, well, fuck, how do we continue after that? Because every movie was finished with, they literally, if you look at my YouTube channel, there's a series of movies called Haas's Revenge. I don't know if you saw that.
Mm-mm.
When I was like 17, we made the first one. And it was just me and my family with a video camera making a movie about an escaped retard's ghost. Can I say retard?
I said fucking retard last episode.
Okay, but it's about I play Haas, who is a mental patient that was wrongfully murdered and haunts the ghost, or he haunts the child of the man who got off one final shot at him, who was played by my little brother. And there are 3 of these movies. Over every time I would go out to California, like the second time Deprivation was on our first tour, and my drummer from Deprivation's in the movie, and we just made a part 2. We had no idea what we were going to do, but we just did it. And they're stupid. I'm not comparing them. Like they're in no way any kind of fine art. But and then the next time, we made a final chapter in a part 3, whatever. But that's what the Phantasm movies seem like to me. They're just like, oh, we're together again, and somebody gave us a few bucks here. Let's make it. And the last one is so bad. That is so good.
Really?
But you have to see the others to get to 5.
Okay.
And the guys are mad at me because I want to make them record this episode or these episodes. It's going to be 5 episodes, but
I have an idea for us right now. We're pushing an hour.
Yeah. That's a true podcast.
How late can you?
I'm in no hurry. What do you got in mind?
I've got to find this movie. What do you say we record 2 episodes tonight?
Whoa.
So we wrap this one up.
Okay.
I've had a good time. This is fun, and I kind of don't want to stop, but I don't want to put out a super long episode. Okay, so that is going to do it for Don't Wake the Kids this week with Jacob from Refund Theater. We are going to do a mini Refund Theater here.
Yeah.
Just Jacob and I in this little studio. We're going to watch Kung Fury, so tune in next week.
Uh-oh.
It's probably not going to be the episode for next week because John will be back. I know he won't want to skip another week. But
did I kick John out of here?
We're gonna have a bonus episode next week of Jacob and I talking about Kung Fury. But this is Anything or Everything. I'm not sure which song I'm going to put on yet. I will choose that at a later date.
Yes. This is one or the other. Anything or Everything.
Enjoy.
out